Hello and welcome guys back again. My name is Largs and for this tutorial, I'm gonna show you how to test the success state of this page. So first we have to open our code base and then let's go to NextJS testing page, this one. And as you can see, there are three examples: NextJS Cypress, Playwright, and Jest and Testing Library. So this two, I believe, is focused on end-to-end testing, while this one is for unit tests and integration tests. So we're gonna use this one. So let's search this one. Okay, let's search just. Nah, we just have to scroll all the way here. So yeah, just and React testing library. I believe we already set this up on the previous video. So let's just follow the instruction. So create a just config. So copy this one out and then put a just config in the root directory. Also, under the hood, NextJS is automatically configuring just for you. Okay, you just have to read this description before you start. And if you're using Bubble, if you opt out on the Rust compiler, they said you must use these options. So let's skip that part. And then about this part, handling style sheets, we're gonna ignore this also because we're not using that. Um, Yeah, for this one, optional, extend just with custom matchers. I think we are gonna use this. Um, let's add this line on our config. So, set up files after env. So, meaning it will run this file before testing any files. So, let's add this just set up.js on the directory. Also, we have to copy its content. So this is the content that Next.js provided initially. So what this plugin does is it's extending the matchers. So it has extra matchers like to be in the document, something like that. That's not default, but it's helpful. So let's save this one. And then next is optional, absolute imports and module path aliases. So as you can see on our tsconfig JSON, we are currently using a absolute file. Um, what? How are they used? So let's check a component here. Um, as you can see here, there are at symbols, but we can also import this as a relative one, like this, and GraphQL and queries, I mean mutation, and what's that, director. So we can use it like that, but it's kind of a long one, wherein this one is the shorthand. So you just have to describe on the paths what its folder is. So you can add here something like asterisk or any other symbol, but at is something like what I preferred, or the community prefer. So let's bring it back. So it says here that we have to add the module name mapper when you are using that. So for the just config, we have to add the module name mapper and add a comma here. But before the start of the video, I already typed the module name mapper. So I just have to copy and paste it. And yeah, I think we're done here. And creating your test. The next step would be to add a script on the package JSON. So let's go to the package JSON and then let's add a script here. So we can you can see all the flags on their page, I think. So yeah, these are the flags that you can use. You just have to read it on this link. So what this does is it automatically reruns our test when there is a change on a certain test file. So I don't have to. I'll remove it for now so we can keep track of the um, responses that we are. I mean the we can keep track of the what do you call this, the result. So currently we don't have a test file, but let's check where this where's this code located. So let's go to the pages. It must be on the index file. I think it's on the movie list. Let's try to comment this one out. So it's removed, and let's bring it back. It's right there again. So let's go to the movie list file and then add a movie list .test.tsx. So make sure that this pattern is always correct, because um, this is the the correct pattern that just will detect. So first one, we should import our component that we are testing. Import from the index, I suppose. But the shorthand for that is that the dot, and then the movie list. Import movie list from index. Is that correct? Okay. And then we have to describe our um, test file. Test suit. I mean movie list, and then function. So the describe function is already global when you install Jest. So the next code would be the it, and the first argument should be the sentence describing what should be the test like. So it should successfully render movies. Okay. So the next step should be importing our component. So const render. We're gonna use the render from the React testing library, and then put the movie list here. And the render method actually returns a debug function for us to, yeah, for us to debug what's currently inside. Oh, or what's the current status of the element that we're testing. So let's try to npm run test so you can have a glimpse of what we are doing. So yeah, it runs, but could not find client in the context because we need the Mac provider component. So in here we have to wrap the Mac provider on top of our component. So um let's try to import that. Okay, control that. Okay, import from Apollo. I'm not sure if it's Apollo React Hooks. Okay, let's just type it again, hoping that the IntelliSense will save us. Mac. Okay. Sorry about that. I think it's Apollo React Hooks. Oh, this one. Apollo client testing, sorry. And then let's use that component. And let's wrap the movie list here. Okay, let's debug it now. npm run test again. Hopefully it will succeed. So it's succeeding, but the current status of our testing is loading. And we are testing the success state. So how are we going to do that? So the first one should be we need to pass our max here. Max. And then we need the max. And let's just try to copy and paste this one. Max. So this will not work because we don't have a get dog query, and also we don't expect this kind of return. So let's go back to the movie list component, and we are using get movies right there. So let's copy and paste that, and then you highlight this one, control that in the VS Code, and then you can import that automatically using the IntelliSense. But if you're using um, another code editor, you just have to import it correctly. And then let's check if there are additional options that we are passed here. We don't need this variables name buck because there are no additional um, config here. So the first thing I do when copying mock data is consoling the data itself. So let's try to check what's the object look like. Okay. And yeah, let's copy the okay, let's just restart it. And then let's copy this object, this whole object, and paste it in the data. So yeah, it's a little bit long. So let's reduce the object to one, to only one, and then let's remove the type names. Okay, let's reduce the genres too. Let's just put a single genre. Okay, we don't have type name now, but removing the type name also has a equivalent prop on the Mac provider. We have to pass false here. And then let's try to debug it again. So in here, we expect that the movies are already rendered. That's how useful debug is. Okay, it's loading again. Why? Because in here it says in here the testing the success state. To test how your component is rendered after it completes, you need to await. So we need to await a 0 millisecond timeout. So let's just copy this line 18, and put it um, below before debug. So let's try to run the test again. Okay, um, my bad. Await is a reserved keyword. It only works inside a when an async is on top of the function. Before the function, I mean. So hopefully it runs successfully. Yeah, it's running successfully. We are passing the departed as the title, and also the genre is thriller. So it's working successfully, right? So let's use this extension, testing playground. So you can download it via a Chrome extension. So testing playground actually gives us another dev tools inside in here. So it's just the usage of that is that you can select a certain matcher here, and they will provide a example query. So let's try to hover on the departed title. So it suggests that we can use this query. So let's try it. Since we are rendering only one movie and it's The Departed. So yeah. So the first one we should use is expect that to be in the document. So to be in the document is not default. Um, it was extended. So this is the use of that. Oh, so I think screen should be from this library so that it will not give us error. Okay, let's try to comment out this debug for now, and then yeah, try to run test. So yeah, it is successful, but we are receiving a console error here. So to prevent this console from happening, we're not gonna use this line of code. Instead, we are using the await wait for from React testing library and then pass it inside. Let's try to run it again if we are receiving the error again. Error still, I mean. Okay, the only console that we're receiving is the console from the component. So let's remove this so we can have a clean npm run test. Okay, we have one successful state now, but this is not essential when we are, let's say, we are adding two data that has the same title. So expect this to be failed. Okay, it failed because there are multiple elements that matched our matcher. So to prevent this one from happening, let's not use this assertion. And for this one, we can actually add a test ID here of movie. Since this is currently mapped, it will give us a data test ID. Let's try to inspect this one. So we have three test ID of movie, right? But data test ID is not recommended. It's just we are using this attribute when there is no from when there is no what you call this worst case scenario when you can trigger a specific matcher for a certain element. So for the sake of this tutorial, let's just use this one first, data test ID, and then let's expect screen that get by test ID, what do you call this, movie that length screen get all by test ID so that it returns an array. And then let's try to check the length to be 3. So let's try to run the test. Okay, it's successful, but we are I prefer not to set static values here. We can also use the max itself to check the length. So max and then array dot result dot data dot movies dot length. If they match, then we already have our success state. Okay, so let's remove the extra codes here, the commented out codes, and this one. Additional info, we can use get all by test ID from the render element and then remove this screen here, something like that. And let's run npm run test again. Yeah, but it's not recommended by can't see the dods. I'm sorry, can't see dods because it's an anti-pattern. I think I've read it somewhere here. Bear with me please because I'm still searching it. Yeah, this one, not using screen. So this is an anti-pattern, he said, and we should use this screen from the testing library React. So yeah. So we don't have to destructure this and you just have to render. So that's it guys. Thanks for listening.